Today we celebrate St. Sixtus II and his companions. And St. Sixtus was a pope in the early part of the church. And on Saturday we'll be celebrating the feast of St. Lawrence. And St. Lawrence was the deacon of St. Sixtus. And the story goes that St. Sixtus and the others, as they were being brought to martyrdom, they were passing by where St. Lawrence was. And Lawrence was saying, Father, why are you leaving me? Why are you going off to martyrdom without me, basically? And he says, don't worry, in 3 days' time you will follow me. And so he did. And the story goes that the emperor went to him and says, give us all the treasures of the church, because as deacon he was in charge of those things. And he said, well, okay, give me 3 days to be able to gather up all the treasures of the church. And the emperor's just like, wow, there's that much. His greed was like, this is going to be wonderful. And so he goes off and sells all this stuff and gives it to the poor, and then he draws all the poor, the lame, the sick into the presence of the emperor and says, here is the treasure of the church. Needless to say, the emperor didn't have a sense of humor. And so he martyred Lawrence on the gridiron, and so as he's burning on this grill, he has a sense of humor still, and he says, I'm done on this side, turn me over. But so we look and we see the incredible faith in the early church. You know, people have said to me these silly things, like, oh, you should be bishop someday. It's like, oh no, please, I don't need that. But in the early church, to become a bishop, to become pope especially, was basically to say, I'm going to be martyred. I'm going to be martyred. My days are numbered at this point. So I need to give everything, because otherwise, my life will be worthless. We look and we see, though, that God is faithful in all of that. He gives them the courage to be able to endure such things. And we turn to the Lord today and we ask that He strengthen us. That He strengthen us, that He be faithful to us in our trials, in our struggles. The first reading today we hear Jeremiah. A lot of times Jeremiah is, haranguing the people because they're not listening to God. But here, at this time, thus says the Lord, I will be the Lord of all the tribes of Israel. He's saying, I will draw all of them back. And remember that after King Solomon, there was a division between the northern and the southern tribes in Israel. The northern 10 tribes split off, and they had their own king, and they had their own ways of worshiping falsely. And the southern tribes, Judah and Benjamin, they then were connected to the temple. But now God is saying, I'm going to draw them all together. I'm going to finally bring this people back. And with an age-old love, I have loved you. And I've kept my mercy towards you. That God is faithful. He says, rise up, let us go to Zion, to the Lord our God. These are the things that will happen in your land. Even though you're being exiled, even though you're going off to Babylon. He says, these are the things that will happen. I will restore you. I will renew you. So that when you're facing these troubles, when you're facing these struggles, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. I will continue to be faithful to you. In the psalm we said, the Lord will guard us as a shepherd guards his flock. So we turn to the Lord and entrust to Him all the struggles, all the fear that we have in our lives. We say, Lord, here, take this fear, take this struggle. Help me to trust that you will be faithful to me, that you will guard me, even as a shepherd guards his flock.